thing I want to say is that we have live interpretation available. Si alguien necesita traducción, tenemos traducción en español aquí. All right, we are very excited to share with you all a update on the Pickering School Building process. I think a lot of you are members of the Pickering School community. We have some neighbors and community members as well, but for those of you who know the Pickering facility, you know that this is a desperately needed upgrade in terms of the facilities that is coming, and that's true for the Pickering community, but also for the Lynn Public Schools community as a whole in terms of what this building is going to offer the students, the educators, the families of the entire City of Lynn in helping us accomplish our educational goals. And so a lot of work and effort has gone in to getting us to this point, to find a suitable site that works in a city that doesn't have a lot of available options, creating a design that we think is feasible and fits with our goals for the educational role of the facility, being able to line up the funding and working with our state partners to be able to afford what's a very large investment that that Lynn will be making. And so I want to thank everyone that's been involved so far. We have a great school building committee. Some of the committee members are here. Great support from the school committee and city council and state delegation, as well as the Lynn Public Schools and the City of Lynn team, as well as our project team, our partners in LeftField and Consigli. So thank you all for all your help, and thank you to Pickering for hosting us tonight. We are excited about the end state in where this will be, and we also really want to get the process right, the journey to get there right, to make this a success, not just when the building is done, but throughout, in that we are working really closely with our neighbors and the folks that are going to be experiencing the construction, because we want to honor those experiences and also make this a win for everyone in terms of what it's going to add, even if you're not ultimately going to be in the facility when it's open. So we have a team that's working hard to try to figure out how to manage this in such a way that it is livable for all of us that are going to be experiencing the construction, and we look forward to offering more detail on that tonight.
Thank you, Mayor Nicholson. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming, both in person as well as the folks who are tuning in online. Thank you, LCTV, for coming to record this. That will help get the message out. I'd like to kick things off with a quick introduction of everyone who's up here. So everyone knows Mayor Nicholson. Maybe we'll start with Deb.
Hi, I'm Deb Ruggiero. I'm the Deputy Superintendent of Lynn Public Schools.
Thank you, Deb. I'm Craig DiCarlo with LeftField. We're the owner's project manager on this project. Stephen?
I'm Stephen Lodgeman from Raymond Design Associates, the architect on the project.
And my name's Brandon Mosley. I'm a project manager with Consigli Construction. We're going to be the general contractor here.
Fantastic. Thank you, everyone. So tonight we're really here to answer your questions about this upcoming construction project. To do that, we've got a 30-minute presentation, which will hopefully answer some of the questions. And then we've got the remaining 30 minutes, we'll have an open mic. Anyone who's got questions can come up, line up if there are multiple people with questions, and we'll do our best to answer them here. If we're unable to answer them here, we also have a project website with a frequently asked questions tab. And so we'll take anything that we hear tonight, we'll type it up, we'll put it on there along with answers as well. So when your coworkers, classmates, neighbors have questions about the project, you can also help us out by pointing them to the website. And we'll show you that web address at the end. I'd like to state that to acknowledge that any construction project that happens on an occupied site, which is what we got here, is naturally going to have some disruption. But the the team here, between Consigli, RDA, myself, and the school and city, our goal is to minimize those disruptions. And so what we want to show you is some of the planning that's gone in thus far, and let you know what to expect as the project moves forward. So on the screen here is our schedule. So we can see the project started back in 2022, and from that time until now, it's been mostly design work. That vertical red line, I know it's tough to see on that screen over there, but the vertical red line is where we are today in April, and the blue bar is construction. So you can see we're a couple months away from construction beginning, so it's a very exciting time and sort of the perfect moment to share some of this information with you. And to kick things off, I'd like to hand things over to Stephen from RDA.
Thank you, Craig. So if you're here with us tonight, you're familiar with school, you're a parent, a teacher, a community member, we just want to orient you with some of the upcoming slides. And what you're looking at here is the school site. North is up on the screen or the page. And the school site consists of the existing Pickering School on the left-hand side, the Nicholson School, which extends along the center north of the school site, and then Magnolia Park to the south. It's fronted by Magnolia Ave to the east, Canomo Ave to the north, and Broadway to the west. And Brandon will be sharing some other slides similar to that, so just to orient everyone who's watching. Again, this is kind of a bird's eye view looking at some renderings, both of the existing school complex, the Pickering and Nicholson School, which is kind of shown in a brick rendering over on the left-hand side of the page. And then what you're also seeing is a three-dimensional view of the new Pickering Middle School, sited just east of the existing Nicholson School. You can see the access to this new building is from Magnolia Ave, and we'll show some other slides about the traffic circulation, pedestrian circulation eventually, but there is a new pedestrian and vehicular circulation off of Magnolia as a one-way loop, excuse me, and a new parking lot created on Magnolia Field, along with a retained pocket park and green space.
Given some concerns about the audio, maybe talk louder or a little closer. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you pull it right up.
Can everyone hear me okay? All right, sorry about that. So again, this is getting a little bit closer, still a three-dimensional view of the new school. You can see it's tiered with some outdoor learning space. Nicholson is over there on the left-hand side of the page. So this is kind of nestled in to the east of the Nicholson School, and you can see the entrance drive off of Magnolia Ave on the right-hand side. That allows people to drop off and pick up in front of the school before looping back around to Magnolia Ave.
All right, so we're going to jump into the trucking route that we have planned with all our vendors, subcontractors, construction vehicles for the project. So you'll see right here, our plan is to direct all traffic from LeftField Street to Broadway Street to Magnolia Ave. The idea of this is to keep everyone out of the neighborhood, keep them off of Canomo Ave where the school has bus drop off and such that we'll touch on later. But we want to keep them as streamlined as possible, getting into the city and out to minimize our impact on everyone here.
So Consigli's prepared a series of plans that show the major steps in the construction process, and we call them logistics plans. But what we've done is we've highlighted some of the key features that typically are on the minds of people who are either living near or using the school during construction. So we've got, I don't know how well it's showing up over there, but we've highlighted the drop-off and pickup area in this teal blue, which is remaining as it is during construction. Play areas we are highlighting with this orange box. Then we've got staff and visitor parking, which much of it will remain, but some will be moved around in a blue We've got the construction, the primary construction entrance and exit, as Brandon was mentioning, will be off of Magnolia. Those are the yellow circles with arrows. And then the construction fence is in red, which is the primary divider between the construction area and the student area. And so now Brandon will walk us through the big timelines, the big chunks of time in the project.
So what you see on the screen here is our initial phase, starting at the end of May or beginning of June of this year, while school is still in session. Is we do have some work we need to begin behind the existing Sisson building to create a ramp and stair system, and then what will be the new hard play surface area. So you see on the screen, highlighted in red is our site fence, so that's keeping the project separate from the active school at all times while we're here. Again, as Craig mentioned, our highlighted entrance and exit to keep us coming in off Magnolia Ave. The existing play area, hard surface play area, is still remaining in the school's use this school year throughout the end of the year. And then the parking that's being worked on that you guys will have access to for staff, teachers, to ensure that we maintain or increase the amount of space that you have now so we don't take away from that throughout the job.
And then Brandon, could you also mention that, or I'll mention, so there's a municipal parking lot behind the Wyoma Square businesses that the city is going to reserve a certain number of those for visitor and staff parking, and so it'll be a short walk behind the Little League field to get to the school, so that parking isn't too constricted during construction.
The next phase here that you see on the screen is going to take place once school ends, so the end of June. We're going to take over the rest of the area that the project's going to take place on. That includes the existing hard surface play area where the new building will sit. That'll be the original, the future footprint of that building. We're going to take down the existing modulars, and Steve will go through a little later on of what that looks like. How are they replacing the space within the school that you have now with those few classrooms that exist. You see still the parking spaces remain for whatever activities do happen here throughout the summer as a school, so we do not take over those parking spaces that exist on the north and west side of the school while we're here. The next slide is, as we get into next school year, we finish the work that we have this summer at the back side of Sisson. We provided the new accessible exit out of the south side of the building. We're turning over a temporary hard surface play area that's intended to be the same size of the space you have now, so that you have somewhere to go while we take over that new area come the end of this school year. You'll see, again, the same highlighted parking areas, maintaining that for all the staffs. And then the pickup and drop off for the bus intended to remain as it is right now, with us not impeding on Canoma Avenue. So the next phase that you're seeing on the screen here, pretty much a continuation. We're going to stay within the exact same footprint that we have with the red site fence, working within those parameters. There are a handful of scopes of work that exist outside of that. Our job would be to make sure that's coordinated during the summer when no one's here. There's some work under the existing parking lots for some utilities and such, but we would ensure that that does not happen while school is in session.
And so then what we're seeing here is the finished product. So towards the end of 2026, the project will be complete. It includes, as Stephen was mentioning, a new drop-off and pickup area for the Pickering students in front of the school. The drop-off and pickup area for Sisson remains as it is over here on Canomo. We've got that play area that will now be finished. And then we've got a new parking area with a loop road that comes off of Magnolia, around the parking, and then back onto Magnolia. So that'll be the finished traffic pattern.
All right, so this slide is here to highlight the special considerations we took into place as we created this logistics plan phase throughout the project here. So as we mentioned earlier, we're trying to minimize any impact to the current school programming, how bus drop-off works, parent drop-off, pickup, so that's why we're staying off of Canomo, maintaining that entrance and exit on Magnolia Ave. Our typical job site hours are 7 to 3:30, and we have no planned deliveries during busing period. So what we've done is we're going to coordinate with our subcontractors and vendors to make sure that we minimize the amount of trucks that are coming in that are on the street at the same time as folks trying to get to and from school. And then another highlight here is the separation of student and teacher with the construction zone. So maintaining our site perimeter fencing, our separate entryway ensures that there's no easy way that students and our staff members are going to be mixing during the day-to-day. So I do want to highlight, every time someone comes on our job site, we do an orientation on the first day. We set our expectations for them, not just how they're going to do work, but also how they act. So it's very important to us. We do a lot of work at existing schools that are active, making sure that they behave appropriately as they're close to your kids, yourselves as staff. So that's going to be a key thing for our team to continue to monitor and implement a high level of respect for everyone who's around here.
As many of you are aware, there are other construction projects going on in the city at the same time. Notably, we've got some road work happening on Broadway, and then also some on LeftField Street. So once Consigli starts construction activities, this project team, as well as those roadwork project teams, will coordinate to make sure that we're working in harmony with each other. Something that will help is that all of their operations will be on the roadways, and almost all of our operations will be within Consigli's fenced construction area. So there's not a whole lot of overlap or concern of whole roadways getting shut down, but we will keep that communication going so that we ensure the two projects aren't doing a major operation that would unduly affect the neighborhood. And then just a couple notes. So the LeftField Street project is anticipated to be complete in June of 2025. And then the Broadway project is anticipated to begin in early May. Now Stephen will walk you through what's happening on the interior of the building to prepare for those modulars coming down.
So we've shown you site plans with north being up on the image. Just to confuse you, we've rotated the image around 180 degrees. So now what you're looking at is Sisson is over on the left-hand side in yellow. Those are the Sisson educational spaces as they exist today. And in blue are the Pickering Middle School educational spaces as they exist today. You'll notice that in green, we're highlighting some work that is occurring to provide some temporary spaces, what we call move management logistics, in order to enable the construction work that we've been talking about. As Brandon mentioned, the modular classroom is going to be removed, but prior to it being removed, we need to make sure that those spaces, which consist of 4 classrooms and an office, have somewhere to go. So what this plan is showing, and this work is already underway behind me, in some underused spaces off the gym here and also in the auditorium, some temporary construction that's occurring to create proper educational spaces, temporary spaces, to relocate those modular classroom uses. So at the top there off the gym, you can see there's 2 temporary classrooms being built. That's behind me here in the gymnasium. And then over in the auditorium, there's 3 new spaces consisting of 2 classrooms and 1 office. And this is all under construction currently. The next page is really the second floor of the school, and really it's showing nothing's happening as part of this move management strategy. There's no change on the second floor. The next page is showing what the school will look like when children come to the school.
Still same audio.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. My voice is going too, so that doesn't help. So this slide is showing what the school is going to look like when students return to school in September of 2024. So again, the yellow spaces are the Sisson Elementary School. You can see over on the left-hand side, the modular has been removed, and you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 spaces there that will be pulled out of the modular before it's removed. And in the middle of the page, you see some dark yellow spaces. Those are the temporary classrooms. You can also see they're annotated as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So again, 4 classrooms and 1 office. They're taking over some unused space, but they're also moving into a couple of classrooms that are currently utilized by the Pickering Middle School. That's number 3 and 4. Those 3 and 4 that are currently used by the Pickering Middle School are going to move into the 2 new classrooms that are being constructed in the auditorium. So those are also noted as 3, 4, and number 5 for an office space. So again, we're not losing any educational spaces by the removal of the modular. And also shown here are maintaining exits. There will be some modifications to exits, as you see here. The modular is gone, and there's construction activities off of the end of the system wing, as Brandon had shown previously. So there's no intermingling. We're not exiting through construction zones. And on the second floor, again, this is really to show that there's no change on the second floor programmatically for these, what we're calling move management inside the building.
As I mentioned earlier, we do have a project website where this presentation, as well as all the presentations, live. And we have a YouTube channel, and then of course these videos will be available on LCTV. Spread the word. And now we'd like to open things up to you for any questions and concerns you may have. As I mentioned earlier, the microphone up here is the best way. Come on up, that way the folks at home can hear the question and answer. There you go. Hello.
My name is Kathy Rucker. I'm a special education teacher here at Nicholson. Also a parent and a student myself of LPS. Sorry, thank you. One of the couple of questions that we've talked about during our lunch break here at Nicholson is emergency exits during construction. We have mandated fire drills, lockdown drills, and so on, but mostly like the fire drills, bus evacuation practices. How are those going to roll out while we have a lot of construction in our backyard?
So in the diagram where it showed Sisson School and the exits and how they're adjusting the exits, we would certainly need to practice those exits. There are some classrooms that, especially those at the end of the building where the modular is.
Yes.
Every classroom in Lynn Public Schools has to have an alternate exit, right? We have a primary evacuation exit, and we have an alternate. That's what we're all supposed to have. So we would want to look at that plan and see what are the alternate exits and make sure that we can accommodate that. But that will absolutely be part of the safety plan when we get into that phase.
Another concern I have as a special education teacher, many of our students come on the special education buses. Transportation in front of our building for safe drop-off and pickup has always been an ongoing concern, even without this construction project. Pickering starts school at 7:45 a.m. Sisson also starts school at 7:45 a.m. We release at 1:45, Pickering releases at 2:30. The volume of traffic on this street, just again, on a regular day, is very difficult and not always safe for children or staff or parents or so on and so forth. Would it ever be considered I'm gonna get myself in a lot of trouble, would it ever be considered to stagger the start times between the two schools, even for temporarily, or is that something to consider?
It's definitely something we are thinking about. There's a whole process that has to happen in order for that to happen. Feedback from staff, feedback from families, and so that's something we have to talk through.
Okay.
That's not for any final decision. School committee has to be involved.
Right.
There's a lot of a process that has to happen, but it absolutely is something that we have thought about, but we're trying to figure out, can transportation support that? Because there's a whole bus schedule for all schools. It may not be feasible for transportation. We want to look at what would the options potentially be if we could do it. So there's a whole process that has to happen.
I know that would be a humongous undertaking on its own. we've been in talks with Lisa and Eric and Jessica at the parking department. They've been very helpful. They have sent us Corey, who is a parking attendant in the afternoons. He has been very helpful since he started here, making sure parents are staying out of the front of the building. But it's an ongoing pain in the neck.
Understandably so. And part of the rationale of the construction entrance and exit being on Magnolia was to avoid making anything worse or more challenging than it is. So the construction project, while we hear, things can always improve, the construction project shouldn't be making things any worse.
Awesome. And honestly, knowing that the Pickering entrance is going to be like on the other side of this block, if you will, I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome.
Yes, exactly. So the end of the
Good.
project
Yeah.
does resolve.
And even during this construction project as well, having your activity on that side of the field will be very helpful.
I
Fantastic.
just need to share with the online families what the two questions were, because they were having a hard time hearing each other. The first question that was asked for those on the webinar was around emergency evacuation and making sure that the new exits, that we know what's safe for our students and our staff when we're doing evacuations. And it was shared that all classrooms are supposed to have an alternate exit, and that certainly for Sisson School, this will be something we will be looking at and making sure that all classrooms have a safe exit and an alternate exit like we would for any school year. The second question was around the consideration of a staggered start of Pickering and Sisson due to the traffic patterns and the difficulty in buses trying to drop off and families trying to drop off. And my response was, there's a whole process that has to happen for that, and that certainly we have thought about that, and there's a lot of steps we would need to take with school committee, with transportation, with family input, with staff input, and therefore I need to speak to the superintendent around taking possibly that step to start looking at, is that an option? Use your teacher voice.
I'm Tina Benedetto. I teach at Sisson, but I am also a neighbor. So I live on Magnolia. The construction street is coming out right in front of my house. So I was wondering, you said you're going to try to minimize, but I wanted to add something, that lots of parents park on Magnolia and walk across the park to come to school in the morning because there's so much traffic on Canoma. So I think it's going to push those people that are parking on Magnolia to Canoma. So staggering the time is probably going to help, but it's also something to think about.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Vita Murphy. I'm an assistant parent and a neighbor. I apologize, I have two questions. The first being the temporary play space that will be behind the school during construction was the fact that the tennis courts are gym. Was that amount of space taken into consideration? And will there be enough space for both recess and gym during construction?
The amount of space was talked about, and our goal, that new piece that's going to come should match what's already there now, very close to it. So depending on how the school wants to use it, you should have a similar amount of space.
And my other question was about Magnolia Park and Magnolia Field. What, if any, public access will there be to Magnolia Park and Magnolia Field during construction? And when construction's done, will there be Magnolia Park and Magnolia Field?
So there won't be any public access during construction for the duration of the project because it will be part of the construction site. And then the last rendering we showed, which shows what that looks like in the end, a lot of that portion becomes the new parking and traffic circulation, but there is a playground and basketball court going in closer to the end near Magnolia that is currently on the Magnolia Park.
Okay, thank you.
I do have a question from someone online. Will there be blasting where the new school is going? It's going to be very close to all houses. So there's a concern about possible blasting.
We have no current plans for blasting, and nothing leads us to think we'll need to do that.
Hi. My name is Jess Luque. I'm a parent as well as I'm the Sisson's PTO president. I've got 3 kids in Sisson, so I'm very excited about this project. Probably only 2 of them will end up at the school, but very exciting. It looks awesome. Thank you for being here tonight as well. So as a parent, I'm super excited. For PTO, obviously for Sisson, there's a few little things that I have a question about. We always have our annual field day, June 6th. That's what we have it as for this year, with the rain date of June 7th. Now, it looks like if you back up to I have the early one from mid-May to mid-June. It looks like we'll still have our parking lot and the tennis courts. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
So June 6th, we should still have access to our entire Sisson lot, including the tennis courts as well?
That's correct.
Okay, so that's huge. I know that at that point, it looks like we obviously lose the playground. We lose the kickball field that we have right there. And then the field, pretty much everything beyond the back of Sisson, like that access road parking lot, I guess. Beyond that is going to be fenced off at that point, right?
Correct.
Okay, so we're definitely gonna have to become a little, creative, I think, but at first we weren't even sure if we were gonna have the parking lot in the tennis courts, so we'll have to play around with that, and hopefully we can get creative with, some Pickering staff as well. But, all right, I appreciate it. I think that was the only question I have as far as PTO goes, for this year at least, and hopefully we can have some of these meetings next year maybe. I know that it was definitely something that's extremely helpful. A lot of the parents were coming to me and I'm like, I can only tell you what field day consists of. I'm not really sure what's happening with the construction, but the maps that are on your website and keep an update on that, I think that that's great. I'm gonna start including some of your links with my agendas every month for the Sisson PTO. So hopefully, we can keep, the communication open and hopefully people just, keep going to your website and we can keep it going. So I'm very excited for it and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Just picking up on that last point while we wait to see if there's any more questions. I think it's a really great point, the idea and the goal of keeping the communication going. This is a hugely exciting project that I think the whole city is excited about. It's also just a large project. It's almost $200 million project. It's incredibly complex, and we want to share as much information as we can because I think a lot of the questions we can answer. That's just a ton of information. Like if you go on the website, there's everything there. But we want to work with the folks that need the information about how to get it in folks' hands in a way that is accessible and really answers their questions. So we will continue to work to proactively share information and have meetings like this and update the website and so on and so forth. The Pickering School Building Committee meets regularly and those meetings are open to the public and are recorded and posted. But if there are questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can always reach out to my office. I think for faculty and staff and parents of students that are currently at Sisson or Pickering, I know that your principals are here and available, and you can always reach out to us. Sometimes the quickest way to a resolution for school issues, directly through that parent, that principal, who then can, has a direct line to the administration and to us. There will, I'm sure, be other questions that come up, and definitely encourage you to share those so we can continue to share the information and, advance this really exciting project.
And I think I mentioned at the beginning, but I'll restate, there is a contact us button on the website. So if you do have a general question about the project that comes to me and a few of my colleagues, and we will either answer it right away, or we'll circulate it to the right people who can give us the best answer, and then we'll post it. We can email you and then also post it in the frequently asked questions. Absolutely.
Can you go back a couple slides to where the new playground area would be?
End of project?
Yes, correct.
Nice and loud. So sorry.
Are you
Teacher, please.
I know, I'm sorry. So the playground area, I've got a couple questions about that. One, is that also going to be like a public play area, say like on the weekends for the neighborhood children, or is that a school designated area only? Do you know what I mean? Like, is it going to be like gated and locked? Like, how is that going?
It's a public park.
A public-
Area. If anyone's followed the Article 97 process, we had to take public parkland and return some
Correct.
to another location, but there's this basketball court and play area that's included as part of the public area, not school property.
Okay. And the other part is, you know, us teachers always have a lot of opinions about everything. Will you be consulting some of the staff members here at Pickering and parents and Sisson parents about what we think we could benefit from in the design of that, or the toys or whatever you have planned for that park area? Will we have any input is basically my question.
I'm not sure that we have, but it's something that we should plan on doing.
No, that's great.
You're talking about, just to be clear, the Pocket Community Park, or the new hardscape play area? behind
Whatever the
Sisson?
play area that is going to be designated for Sisson students
For
for
Sisson.
recess time.
So the orange on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Yes, of
So-
course, yep.
Okay, all right, that's all. Thank you so much. Yes. I'm sorry? Oh, will it be fenced in? I always. Will it be fenced in?
There, I believe there's fencing on 3 sides except for that middle where you see the road. So it kind of creates an alleyway, so it'll be there.
I think up, like up against the building?
More of a hands-on guy. So there will be fencing around the outside here.
Okay.
And then there'll be vehicular gates preventing any traffic, so kids are safe during the day. There's no issue with that. But there's no, like, this is still open. Yeah. You're welcome.
So for the folks at home, Brandon just explained that there will be the Sisson play area will have fencing on 3 sides, and then there will be gates to prevent vehicular access when students are in there, but that can be opened up for emergencies or maintenance.
I have a couple of questions online. Which Sisson grades or classes will be in those 4 temporary classrooms in Pickering? I knew that was going to be a hot question. As you know, the principal position has been posted, and interviews will be happening in the next couple of weeks. That person would be important to be part of those conversations. I have shared, in my opinion, older students should go into the Pickering building versus the youngest students, and that the office space be utilized with an administrator. So program specialist, in my opinion, would be in the office space, so that any transferring from Pickering to Sisson would be assisted with an administrator. But those final decisions have not been made. There's a new administrator coming in, a new leader of the building at some point soon, and we would want to have teacher input on it. So those final decisions have not been made. Another question was around dropping off. They say they can only hear me. For those of us remote, it has not been helpful, other than Deb repeating some of the earlier questions. If we are going to offer remote connectivity, let's please try to make it work so that we can all actually hear. The speakers, can we look into posting the meeting notes? Just for your reference, this is being recorded and will be posted on the Pickering Building website, so you'll be able to hear more clearly all of the information that's been shared. And I'm not sure what this question means. Is there no way to disrupt the Sisson students to that extent? Unfortunately, I don't know if any of you want to share it. I think the modular.
So the design team did look at, or the whole project team looked at many iterations of how this project could be done, how it could fit on the site. And this was the best balance. And so it does involve that disruption, which is unfortunate, but my understanding is those modules are actually quite old, and modulars are not meant to be used permanently. It's sort of two birds, one stone, taking down the old and then replacing with new. So I guess that doesn't really answer the question.
I mean, I'll add to that, I mean, to Craig's point, any construction, major construction, is difficult and is disruptive. But I think all of us need to think of the bigger picture. One, we are in dire need of a new middle school. And two, Sisson School is an elementary school that does not have the amenities that some of the other elementary schools have. They do not have their own gym. They do not have their own cafeteria. They do not have an auditorium that they could have events at. And down the road, although it's not going to impact the current Sisson children, in the future, down the road, Sisson school students and families will have the benefit of having other amenities added to Sisson once the new Pickering is built. There was also a question about the parkland and replacing the park, and it was shared about the Article 97 approval. What you take, you have to replace. One of the plans is to replace off of parkland. Is that right? You want to share that?
Yeah, so in the Article 97 process, whatever land we're using for the school that we're taking out of parkland, we're replacing at least that and more in terms of the city's parkland. So some of that will be here, but a large part of it will be on Parkland Ave in the land the city owns, next to the dog park there where the salt shed is. That will become a public park.
Anything else? And anything else online?
What is the noise mitigation for students in Sisson?
Okay, great question. Brandon, do you want to talk about around the fencing?
Yeah, so in terms of for the students in Sisson, there are going to be some loud activities that are tough to avoid. With our start time of this project being towards the end of the school year, the goal is that the noisier site prep work is being done in the summer while no one's here. Some of that noise is obviously unavoidable. When everyone comes back for the next school year, we will be working on the foundation of the building. There will be noise throughout, structural steel. As we start to get the skin of the building on, it's tough to, it's not going to be silent. So I just want to make sure we're on the same page. What we are doing for adjacent neighbors is we'll have some noise mitigation panels on all the fencing that abuts a neighbor's property, helps absorb any sort of noise that you would hear, try to mitigate that impact that we're having on you throughout the day during the normal work hours.
Okay, anything else? I just want to thank you again all for coming out and for the folks who tuned in online. I think this was this is great, very helpful for me, and I will certainly add all these thoughts and ideas and comments to the website so that other people can benefit from them as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you everyone for coming out and for sharing. We really appreciate it. Thank you.